Hi everybody, and welcome to your channel, Spanish Pills, the best YouTube channel to learn to speak Spanish. And from this moment on, this is your channel. It is because of you that this channel exists. So, once again, welcome to your channel. Hola a todos y a todas valientes amantes del español y bienvenidos a vuestro canal, Spanish Pills, el mejor canal de YouTube para aprender a hablar español. Y desde este momento, este es vuestro canal, porque vosotros hacéis que sea posible. Una vez más, bienvenidos a vuestro canal. What are you gonna find in this video? ¿Qué vas a encontrar en este video? Some basic Spanish comparative phrases. That is, you're going to learn how to make comparisons in Spanish. And like I always do, if I find some important vocabulary and grammatical features that you should know about any of these sentences, any of these phrases, I will share that information with you, that extra important and relevant information with you. So, ¿estáis preparados para aprender un poquito más de español? ¿Sí? Pues venga, vamos a por ello. 3, 2, 1, comenzamos. Primera frase. El español es más difícil que el inglés. I'm sure most of you agree with this one, right? There are a few things I have to explain to you about this sentence. The very first thing, how to make a comparison in Spanish is like in English. More, más, adjective, difficult in this case, difícil in Spanish, and then than is que in Spanish. So more difficult than would be más difícil que. Whenever you're making a comparison in Spanish, you have to say más plus an adjective plus que. And something else. Notice how in English you say Spanish and English, and in Spanish you say el español, el inglés. This is very important. You have to use the definite article. So you have to be very careful about the gender and the number of the noun. In this case, we're talking about languages. In Spanish, any language is masculine. So, in both cases, they are masculine and singular. That's why the definite article is el. El español, el inglés. Don't forget that. Segunda frase. Los caracoles son más pequeños que las tortugas. Like I told you before, in Spanish, whenever you're making a comparison, you use the word más plus an adjective plus que. As you can see, this one is different in English because you don't use the word more, but you say smaller than instead. Anyway, let's pay attention to something else. Like in the previous example, you need to use the definite article. Los caracoles, las tortugas. In this case, both are plural, but they have different gender. Caracoles is masculine, but tortugas is feminine. So that's why you say los caracoles, las tortugas. Tercera frase. Los trenes son más rápidos que los coches. Like in the previous example, in English it's different. You say faster than without more. But in Spanish it's always the same. Más plus an adjective plus que. Más rápidos que. And once again, the definite article. Los trenes, los coches. Both nouns are masculine and plural, so that's why the definite article is los in both cases. Los trenes, los coches. Cuarta frase. Vuestro piso es más grande que el nuestro. Okay, once again, in Spanish, to make a comparison, más plus adjective plus que. In English, this sentence is different. You say bigger than without more. Okay. What else? Because there are many things to pay attention to in this sentence. The very first word, apartment. We call an apartment a piso if it is the place where you live. Because the word apartment exists in Spanish, apartamento, but that's a place you rent for your vacation. Now, about the word vuestro. It is your in English. It's masculine because piso, the noun that comes after, is masculine and singular. Vuestro piso. And then at the end, we say el nuestro, like in English, ours. You're making a comparison here. You're comparing your apartment with our apartment. And that's why at the end you say el nuestro. You have to use the definite article because you're not repeating again the word piso. It makes allusion to piso, nuestro piso. That's why nuestro is masculine and singular, and that's why the definite article is masculine and singular. Vuestro piso, el nuestro. What? Nuestro piso. Ours in English. Vamos con otra frase. Esta es muy fácil. You'll see. Ana es más amable que Cristina. Once again, más plus an adjective plus que. And in English, you say kinder than, without more. We are comparing Ana and Cristina, but the one we're talking about is Ana. The thing is that the adjective amable is the same for the masculine and for the feminine. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about Ana or Felipe. You would say Felipe es más amable que, or Ana es más amable que. Amable is, in this case, feminine and singular, but it's the same if it is masculine and singular. Do you understand that? Let's try another one. This one is a little bit different from the sentences we've been playing with before. You'll see. Esta parada de autobús está más lejos de la oficina que la otra. We are making a comparison here, so, like always, más plus an adjective, lejos, plus que. Okay. Now I'm going to start with some relevant and very important grammatical features about this sentence. If you're not interested in this part, you can fast forward the video and play the next example, okay? However, if you feel curious, here it goes. The first thing, bus stop. This is parada de autobús in Spanish. It's like the car keys, las llaves del coche, or the kitchen door, la puerta de la cocina. When you have in English two nouns that work as one word, bus stop, in Spanish you have to do this. The first word becomes the second word, and the second word becomes the first word, and in the middle you put de. Sometimes you have to put de la or del, but not always. In this case, it is parada de autobús, so it would be an exception. About the gender of this word. You have the word in English this that has three different translations into Spanish. Este, esta, esto. Este and esto are both masculine and esta feminine. When do we use este and when do we use esto? We use este when you have a noun, masculine obviously, after, like this car, este coche. And you use esto when you don't have a noun after, like this is wrong, esto está mal. In this case, we are using the feminine, esta. Why? Because of the word that comes after, parada. It is feminine in Spanish. So, parada de autobús is feminine and singular. So this is esta. Like in English, we follow the same word order. In English, you say farther away from the office. In Spanish, más lejos de la oficina. And then you make the comparison, que la otra. The other one in Spanish could be translated as el otro or la otra. But in this case, notice that you are making a comparison. You are comparing two bus stops, dos paradas de autobús. So the gender is the one from parada. That's why in Spanish it is feminine, la otra. I'm going to read the sentence one more time in Spanish and then we can move on to the next example, okay? Esta parada de autobús está más lejos de la oficina que la otra. At the beginning of the explanation of this example, I made a mistake because I said that lejos is an adjective and is not an adjective, is an adverb. Sorry. The thing is that when you're making a comparison in Spanish, you can use an adjective or an adverb. The structure is the same. Más plus an adjective or an adverb plus que. Sorry about the mistake. Los diamantes son más baratos que las esmeraldas. You knew that? I didn't. I thought it was the opposite. Pensaba que las esmeraldas eran más baratas que los diamantes. I thought that emeralds were cheaper than diamonds. Well, about the comparison, like always, más plus an adjective plus que. And in this case, remember that you have to use the definite article before diamantes and esmeraldas. Los diamantes, las esmeraldas. Diamante is masculine, in this case masculine and plural. Esmeralda is feminine, in this case feminine and plural. And the adjective baratos is masculine and plural because you're talking about los diamantes. After reading this sentence in Spanish, I told you that I didn't know, actually that I thought that emeralds were cheaper than diamonds, and I was wrong. So, what about paying attention to the conjugation of the imperfect of these four verbs? Think, in Spanish, creer or pensar. To know, saber. To be, in this case, estar. I used the verb estar when I said I was wrong. It means estaba equivocada. Pretérito imperfecto del verbo pensar en español. Thought in English. No matter who the subject is, it is always thought. It's not like that in Spanish. It's a little bit more difficult. Yo pensaba. Tú pensabas. Él, ella pensaba. Nosotros, nosotras pensábamos. Vosotros, vosotras pensabais. Ellos, ellas pensaban. Remember that in Spanish, after using the verb to think, it doesn't matter the verb tense. If you're going to add another sentence, you have to use que. Pensaba que. Pienso que. Pretérito imperfecto del verbo creer en español. The verb creer in English means to think and to believe. In this case, it is to think. And since we're using the past, it would be thought. Always thought. No matter what the subject is, it is always thought in English. But in Spanish, it would be yo creía, tú creías, él, ella creía, nosotros, nosotras creíamos, vosotros, vosotras creíais, ellos, ellas creían. Like it happens with the verb pensar, if you're going to add another sentence, you have to use que after the verb creer. It doesn't matter the verb tense. Yo creo que, yo creía que. If you're wondering when and how to use creer or pensar in Spanish, if you're expressing your opinion, you can use any of them because they both mean exactly the same. It's your choice. It's up to you to use one or the other. Pretérito imperfecto del verbo saber en español. In English, knew. Always knew, no matter what the subject is. In Spanish, yo sabía, tú sabías, él, ella sabía, nosotros, nosotras sabíamos, vosotros, vosotras sabíais, ellos, ellas sabían. Pretérito imperfecto del verbo estar. In English, was or were. In Spanish, yo estaba, tú estabas, él, ella estaba, nosotros, nosotras estábamos, vosotros, vosotras estabais, ellos, ellas estaban. Creía que eras más bajito, pero eres muy alto. This time I think we are not really making a comparison, but rather an observation. I thought you were shorter. Creía que eras más bajito. But like in English, you can use the same structure that you would use if you were making a comparison. In Spanish, más plus an adjective. But since you're not really comparing anyone to anybody else, you don't have to add que after the adjective. About the ending ito is used when you are trying not to be rude. There are people who are concerned about how tall they are, and if you call them short, they feel or they might feel offended. So you try not to offend them, so you use this ending, ito. The adjective is bajo, but you can use bajito if you're trying to be polite. If you were talking about a female person, you would say bajita. And then, about the second sentence, you have another adjective, alto. This time, you don't have to use the ito ending. So it's just that you have to be careful because you need to keep in mind that you're talking about a male person. So you have to use the masculine gender when using that adjective, alto. And I've translated, I thought, as creía que, but I could have also translated it as pensaba que. They both mean the same. Estas cajas son más pesadas que aquellas. This time we are making a comparison. So, in Spanish, we use más plus an adjective plus que. The main word in this sentence is boxes. Let's say box. That means caja. In this case, plural, cajas. Now, the gender. In Spanish, feminine. That's why these boxes is translated as estas cajas. And then we have the adjective, pesadas, plural and feminine. And the last word of the sentence in English is those. Those means esas or esos, aquellos or aquellas. In Spanish, we make a distinction between esa and aquella, or ese and aquel. It depends on the gender. And the distinction is the result of the position of that thing. I mean, If it is far, we say ese or esa. If it is farther, we say aquel or aquella. In this case, we're talking about boxes, feminine and plural. That's why we say aquellas. Tu idea es mucho mejor que la mía. Okay, in English, like in Spanish, there are irregular comparative adjectives. In this case, good and better. In Spanish, it would be bueno or buena and then mejor. One thing about the word mejor. This adjective doesn't change when you are using the masculine or the feminine. It's always mejor, and the plural is mejores for the masculine and for the feminine. Mejor means, in this case, más buena. Tu idea es mucho más buena que la mía. I put an asterisk on top of the word mejor because this would be an exception. I mean, the general rule is that when you use the comparative form of bueno or buena, you have to use the word mejor. But sometimes you can use the expression más bueno or más buena. And this is one of those exceptions. Tu idea es mucho más buena que la mía. Tu idea es mucho mejor que la mía. Both are correct. So, why did I choose the word mejor? Just because I wanted you to learn the general rule, okay? And about mine, the possessive pronoun, in Spanish, you need to put a definite article in front of it. You cannot say, tu idea es mucho mejor que mía. You need to say, que la mía. La, because you're talking about tu idea, your idea. And idea, is feminine and singular in Spanish. So that's why you have to say, la mía. The possessive pronoun is also feminine and singular. Okay, última frase. Last sentence. Gracias por arreglarlo. Ahora funciona mejor que antes. Gracias por arreglarlo. Remember, after the word gracias in Spanish, we always use the preposition por. Thanks for, gracias por. And then in English, you use an ing verb, but in Spanish, we use an infinitive. And the pronoun it, we put it next to the infinitive as just one word, arreglarlo. Okay? Now, let's pay attention to the comparison, because this video is about making comparisons. The keyword, mejor, this time is not an adjective, but an adverb. So, the adverb we are working with is bien in Spanish. And you cannot say más bien que antes. That's totally wrong. I'm telling you this because before I told you that with the adjective bueno or buena, you could say sometimes más bueno or más buena. But with the adverb bien, you cannot do that. You can only make a comparison saying mejor. But since we're making a comparison about how it worked before and how it works now, we need to put que after the comparative adverb mejor. Mejor que antes. Ahora funciona mejor que antes. First of all, thank you very much for watching this video, like always. Muchísimas gracias por ver este video, como siempre. What do you think about me making more videos like this one? Because I've realized that by making comparisons in Spanish, we can learn a lot of extra grammar and extra vocabulary. Don't you think? Do you agree? Do you think it's a good idea? I hope so. Remember, like and subscribe. And what about if this time you also try to make your own sentences making comparisons in Spanish? You can share them with everyone who watches this video. Come on, don't be shy. Give it a try. Hasta pronto. Adiós.